Good evening. The opinions and statements voiced by our guests do not necessarily reflect the opinions of this network. Enjoy the shows.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
We've been expecting you.
Monday, time for our maven of the supernatural, Denise Pridemore. This is the Paranormal Pride. Join to listen and chat live on WBHM-DB.com or Spreaker app. Search WBHM-DB every Monday at 7 p.m. Central for your supernatural paranormal fix. Welcome to the Paranormal Pride, where the show is about the guest and the listener.
Welcome back. Welcome to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore, and everything is just out of whack today, so you guys are just going to have to live with it. But tonight, my guests are, speaking of out of whack, David Glidden and Dan Williams. So I hope everybody's, excited to have them on, and I know I got them all booked for a whole bunch of other shows too, so hopefully I'm getting the news before everybody else. So let's talk about what's going on since the last time we all talked.
Well, I grew 2 inches.
Really?
I got a haircut.
Oh.
And
I shaved a couple times.
That probably.
That's a lie. That's a lie. You shaved once.
All right, one time.
And it was your legs.
Oh.
Aw. But no, we've been up to some big things and closing out some big things. I just closed out Haunting History, the show on YouTube. Posted the last episode Friday, I think it was, and ended that series for now, if not for good.
And that was what, 4 years or 5?
Yeah, we did 4 full seasons, plus there's an extras playlist that's about another season's worth. And then I got a couple other episodes out for this 5th season, but we just kind of hit a dead spot, and I just felt like it was time to end that. But when some things end, good things come, and that's why we're here tonight.
Exactly.
Well, I know that's how I got to meet you, was Haunting History.
Yep.
You said, hey, you want to come do this with us and tell us some truth? And I said, well, sure, why not?
You're like, let me hit you with some knowledge.
Let me hit you with some truth about the Sally House.
And
Because yes, I did. And if we'd have done it again at the end of our stint there, you'd have gotten even more. So because I never stopped researching until August 2017. And now I have no desire to even look at history on that place, but I still have it all in my head. So,
that's good.
But, well, yeah, someday it might come in handy to tell somebody they're wrong. No, no. I like telling people they're wrong. I'm sorry, but only when I'm right.
I'm trying to get into the chat on the website, and I can't.
Well, why not?
Oh, I'm clicking on it, and it just comes up with the design in the background, and that's it.
Well, everybody else is in there.
Well, hi to everybody in chat.
Hi, everybody. How you doing?
So, there's a couple chats, so I'll make sure that if there's any questions in both of them, that you guys get them. So we have a pretty good turnout tonight. you know everybody in the chat. You know, Gary and Carl and Dara. I'm going to call her Dara for old time's sake. And Nick Moulet and Tom McNicholas, and of course Kat and Ron and Brenda. So that's in the one chat. I haven't gotten over to the other chat yet. So, and of course, you know, Brenda really likes you a lot. So
hey, Brenda. What's up, girl?
So what all is? Do you want to tell your announcement now, or do you want to lead everybody in later on?
Let's go ahead and make the announcement now.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm coming out of the closet.
Again?
We've all suspected it for a long time, but now it's confirmed.
It's official. I just got the paperwork in. Well, we are now shopping the show Paranormal Studies. We've gotten the copyright certificate in, which was quicker than I thought it was going to be. So, yeah, we've just started making the rounds with it, trying to shop it to actual networks like Travel Channel, Discovery, and things like that. And we're actually ready to and able to officially talk about that, our pilot episode that we shot in Kansas City back in August. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's all wide open now.
Well, that's good, because I know that I knew, you told me what was going on, but of course, you know me, mum's the word until you tell me I can say anything. So, so I'm excited to hear how it all turned out. And, cause I know that you haven't told me freely yet what's been going on, but you did leave me a few tidbits of stuff. Yeah, you did. So, but that's only because we investigated together, and sometimes when you investigate together, stuff falls out.
Yeah, like I got poop mouth, it just comes out.
It just, Well, I mean, we all know it happens to me too. Yeah. Like when we're walking around and I happen to say something randomly and everybody's mouth hits the floor. So
like Denise.
No, like the thing with Larry. You know, you were taping and I said something about Larry and everybody's mouth hit the floor, and it's like, I had no clue who in the heck Larry was.
Right.
So, here's the rest of the chat. We got Cassie is over here. I know that she's got, and I have some questions for you. And Mark Eddy. So there you go. So that means that all the troublemakers are here. The bad part is they're not all in the same chat making trouble together. Or maybe that's a good thing.
I was going to say that might be a good thing.
It is. I mean, if Rick Rose was in chat, then we'd really have a problem. But we don't. So, well, congratulations. I hope that that somebody picks you guys up real soon. I can't wait to see the pilot and how it turned out.
Yeah.
So, but how long did it take you guys to shoot the pilot?
So, yeah, that was pretty intense. We actually shot the pilot in 2 nights over the course of the KC Paracon.
Right.
So
I knew when it was, but I wanted you to tell everybody else.
Yeah, it was a really, really, really long weekend of absolutely no sleep. And then, it was insane. And then after we finished that, the PRI actually investigated the McIntyre Villa the night after. So yeah, it was a ridiculous weekend.
I wish I could have taken you guys in the McIntyre Villa before. Because we used it for the film, The Deep Darkness. That was one of the locations, and we got to go in there with the Garrity's.
Oh, okay.
So, because during the time that we were tour guides, they only had it open 2 weekends in 7 years.
Oh, wow.
So we would sit there and we would talk about the quote unquote history from the trolley. And, so for years we had been told all these other things about the house, and it was totally different from the Garrity's, because Keith told us so many more things than we ever knew from the trolley. And so those are the owners before the people now. But the people that lived there before lived in the house. I mean, that's why you really couldn't go and investigate it, because they lived there full time. So, but yeah, they told us all kinds of things about the house, and it's all on film. I just can't wait to see it someday. but it was very interesting. While we were filming, we heard somebody running up the back steps, up the steps and up into the attic.
Yeah, that was, we got that too, actually.
Yeah, we were just standing there, and of course, we weren't allowed to talk because, they were filming. So the Garrity sister, she was there, and she goes, all the time, what she kept saying. And I told them some history, too, on their house. All the fireplaces in there have uranium tile.
Really?
So all those fireplaces have EMF of their own.
I guess I shouldn't have licked them then.
Probably not. But it was common when the house was built, and they did not know that they were uranium tiles, and that a lot of the EMF that people get off those is because it's from the tile, not from anything else. So it was interesting. But
now, what's funny to me is like, at the time that I decided I was going to end haunting history, shortly after that, I started getting enamored with all these places sending me these kind of advertisements or requests to come and investigate their locations and everything. And McIntyre actually reached out for me to come up there and film. But yeah, I should have took him up on it, but
yeah, you should.
I had a baby, so
I know. And the baby. David's baby is adorable. I have not seen her up close and personal yet because I've been sick, and I want to make sure that when I see her, I do not have anything contagious.
Right.
And just because I have a cough doesn't mean I'm contagious, people. I have a cough because of something else, but I just want to make sure. And hopefully after this week, I'll know for sure what's causing the cough, and then I can come see the baby.
Stay away from Ron.
It has nothing to do with Ron. It's yeah. So you stop doing haunting history, and the thing is I came up with a place that is got a lot of history, as well as some murders and some other things not far from you.
Yeah.
So at some point you may want to check it out for something else that you're working on, and so I'll tell you about it some other time, but because I don't want everybody to find out about it and then go, I got to run down there.
Right.
So not yet, because the last time I opened my mouth, I still have not been able to investigate the place that I've told everybody is haunted.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. And you know the place.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, which irritates the life out of me. I open my mouth, I tell somebody something to make them happy, and it makes me unhappy, but that's okay. So how many places have you already shopped the pilot to?
Just a couple. Right now, what we're looking to do, we're kind of making the rounds on different podcasts, everything that's paranormal themed, because we want to get a social media presence behind us. Mm-hmm. So when we do shop it around, we want to be able to turn and say, look, there is a demand for this. People want to see this. They're tired of the fake crap that's on TV. Mm-hmm. Let's give the people what they want. So we're kind of hitting the media stretch first. I have sent some emails off, but I've not gotten any response just yet.
Well, I mean, if it worked for Tim Wood, it should work for you.
Yeah.
Because I know that's the only way he got on TV.
Right.
So, and he doesn't even have a very good presence, period. But that's my opinion. The opinion of Denise only.
Well,
I guess I should take his phone number out of my phone because I don't care for him.
Well, I've always said I don't need to be on the show at all. I just want somebody that's credible to be on it, like somebody to be a host. I don't have to be a host. I'm not interested in being a host or anything. I just want to shop this thing. I want this thing to make its way in front of eyes. I want people to see it so the paranormal field will stop being so stupid. Exactly.
I'd like it to see it have some credibility, and to where I'm not sitting here yelling at the TV.
Right.
I might as well. It's the same as yelling at the people. The people that are doing the shows, they're not listening. So me yelling at the TV is the same thing. But yeah, I get irritated. with everybody saying everything's paranormal. You can't possibly have a squirrel in the attic,
Right.
Exactly.
It's just it's starting to bother me a lot to where I don't really care to watch this, and I don't want to see a reenactment every week on some show.
Yeah.
Because that reenactment, if you want a reenactment, you might as well read a book.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind. So, but I know a lot of people need to have the visuals to go along with the paranormal. People talking about the paranormal, they can't always envision it, so they want to see something. I mean, I know that's how a haunting got. A haunting was the first one to show all these reenactments, and now we've got 12 different ones on that have reenactments, and even on the shows that are somewhat not reenactment, they show reenactment.
Yeah.
The fake ghost or the person dressed up like a spirit and put them in there, and they're all doing that now.
Well, from a filmmaking standpoint, I mean, when you're telling the story, you got to have that visual. But like when it extends into the majority of the show, I think it just kind of gets old and redundant.
Mm-hmm. So, but like I said, I can't wait to see yours, and I'm probably going to be, I'll tell you honestly what I think. I won't, it's not like I'm going to candy coat it and say, oh, I love it, because everything I've seen, there's always been something that I could give good feedback on.
Yeah. I mean, you did that with Into the Light. You gave me some good feedback on that. So.
Oh yeah. And the second one I really liked. I really liked that.
You just like Josh getting scared.
I like Josh thinking that not only could it be Bigfoot, but it could be aliens.
Yes.
That was the part that I thought was best. But, Josh is a good sport.
Yes, he is.
When it comes right down to it. And you guys are a good team. But from what I can tell, David, you are a good team member to have around. Oh, it doesn't matter which team. Well, because you listen, but you also provide your feedback as well.
I think it's important for everybody to kind of give their feedback. Otherwise, nothing gets done. And you can do it the right way, or you can do it the wrong way, or you can combine knowledge and figure it out.
Well, even, Dan has a very strong personality, and so do you, but it seems to work.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I actually brought Dan in on Paranormal Studies. The Paranormal Studies was a concept that I've worked on like 3 years ago, and I shot a pilot with Richard Rose and Angel K.
Mm-hmm.
We shot a pilot. It went great, but I never did anything with that. And it just kind of built up over the last couple of years, and finally I was like, all right, screw it. I'm going to do this. And whenever I decided to really push it, I had known Dan already for a couple of years, and I know how Dan investigates. I know how his team investigates. They're very methodical, they take a very scientific approach to their investigations, and that's something that the show really needed. And I talked to him about possibly, what was the word I used, Dan? Like a kind of like steering the show in the right direction, like kind
of architecting the investigations and making sure that. Can you guys actually hear me right now?
Yeah, we can hear you, but you know what? We're going to take this time to take a quick break, and then we'll come back to all this. You're listening to WBHM, digital broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama, and we'll be back in a couple minutes.
You're listening to WBHM, digital broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Several U.S. presidents are on record talking about the UFO mystery.
Yeah, Presidents Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan both had UFO sightings of their own, but the current presidential campaign might be the first in which UFO disclosure has been championed by a major party candidate.
DIA, CIA, it moves around, is operating a program to train psychic spies to spy and use their powers against Russia. John Ronson writes about this in The Men Who Stare at Goats.
The first known sighting of a ghost took place right after Abraham Lincoln was assassinated in the late 1860s during the administration of Ulysses Grant.
Project Paperclip, Clinton releases it all in 1998.
Possibly the unequal cooling of its surface.
I say, do you still think it's a meteor, Professor?
I don't know what to think. The metal casing is definitely extraterrestrial.
It's a place where UFO hunters and scientists gather to examine paranormal activity in the region.
Some of the documents, this is bringing Nazi scientists into the United States to work here. So we fought against the Nazis, and it's not, this again is not a revelation. As early as 1947, 1946, we knew some of this, right?
On the paranormal, will we see U.S. President Barack Obama's foreign policy go intergalactic in a quest for gold stolen by aliens? We'll tell you at least how the White House responded to claims the chief executive has been teleporting to Mars. But let's get to today's Capitol account.
UFOs, hauntings, psychic abilities, conspiracy, ESP, cryptozoology. There are many things that remain unexplained in the inexplicable world around us, and we're talking about them here, looking for answers on WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama. The truth is out there.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 23 minutes after the hour.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore, and my guests tonight are David Glidden and Dan Williams. And we were talking about... You talk about so many things during the break that I forget about what we were talking about before.
Oh, I was introducing how Dan got into how I brought Dan to paranormal studies.
And Dan was getting ready to talk, and I cut him off.
That's all right. I completely forgot what I was going to say, so it's all good. But
okay.
We're fine.
Let me remind everybody on this. So I brought Dan in because of his methodical and scientific ways. Asked him to be like a kind of like a designer of like our episodes, or an episode manager.
Episode coordinator is what.
That's what it was.
Yeah, that's it.
I never remember that.
I know. I need the business cards, dude.
You should make them.
We'll get a tattoo.
There you go.
Never forget it. But yeah, his approach to investigating is a very methodical way, and I thought that would lend a lot of support to the show. So, I asked him if he wanted to do this, and he jumped aboard.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing was, it folded in so well with what we were doing with the PRI. It was just a perfect fit. So it made a lot of sense. We had a lot of discussions about everything being open, and there was going to be nothing faked or exaggerated, and we were good with that. We agreed on that, and so it just made a whole lot of sense for me to do it. So
yeah.
Yep. Well, yeah, I can see that, because I've investigated with Dan too. Well, and David all together, and and that was fun as well. But yeah, the being methodical and being, we got a giggler in here. Being methodical is very important when you wanted to actually do a scientific investigation. But not, if you're just doing it for fun, it's not a big deal. But for everything else, yeah, it is. And I can see where, I think we all met Dan about the same time.
I think so.
And at the Kansas City Paracon in Sugar Creek. And, Dan right away struck me as being a very serious, goof off kind of person, but serious in a way when he needs to be, and goofing off when he should be.
I like to think I brought him out of his shell.
You did. I was totally in a shell, Dave. Actually, it is really true. I came down to the KC Paracon because, well, we still haven't figured out when the hell you and I started talking, but we were chatting online, and Dave told me he was presenting at the KC Paracon, and I said, you know, what the hell? I was still pretty fresh down from Alaska. I really didn't know anybody down here at all. Mm-hmm. And so decided, let's go see what this guy is actually like in real life. And, the kind of the rest is history. We sort of hit it off and hung out and had a good time.
Yeah. Like I said, I remember you walking by the table, because I will tell you, everybody knows this. When I go to a paranormal conference, I don't want a table. I don't want anything like that. I would much rather walk around and visit with everybody than be sat at a table. Yep. And I don't have any wares. I mean, the only thing I'd be handing you is my business card and saying, hey, if you want to be on my show or vice versa, here I am. But other than that, I don't have any wares. I could care less. I don't need the attention. I want to go walk around and visit with everybody. And so when we were at the Kansas City Paracon that year, I actually had a table. It was donated because they all, the Sally House was for charity. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it still is now, but it was back then. And so I did all the stuff for that. And that's how I got to meet Dan. And David I already had already met, and I think I already had you on my show.
Yeah, and I'd already had you on Haunting History because we had the table right across from you. And I was
I know.
I was playing the episode on a TV so you could stare at yourself.
Yes. Yeah, it was like, oh, crap. But we met so many good people at the Kansas City Paracon that year.
That was whenever I officially met Rick Rose too.
And by that time, I think, we already knew Rick at that time because he'd already investigated at the Sally House, and we went with him, and he'd already done his episode of whatever, I can't remember what it was called now, but I went out there with him and Steve Hayes and Cher, me and Ron, and he filmed something live at the Sally House for 3 to 6 hours or something like that. And so we had met him Good Friday. Yeah, that was interesting. Oh. April 3rd of that year. So, but yeah, it was fun meeting everybody. I hadn't met Josh yet, but I'd had him on my show, and
you see, the Midwest is where it's at. People just need to come out to the Midwest. Come investigate here.
Yep, they do. There's a lot of things to do, and thank you. And down in Joplin, where you're going to be having yours, there's some very nice hotels down there.
Oh yeah.
One with a really nice swimming pool, and you could run off and go find the area where the spook light is.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing something else, or you can go find a place to investigate. Very close. There's 10 or 15 places to investigate just in a 30-mile area of Joplin.
Oh yeah. This area is full of Civil War history. I mean, it's filled with history, period. Even mafia history. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff down here that people just don't know about.
Bet I got more mafia history up here, bud.
That's true.
Yeah, probably. There was, we got a lot of mafia history here in Kansas City.
Well,
but the thing is,
Chicago, so.
Oh yeah, I know. But a lot of that money from Chicago was funneled through Kansas City.
Oh yeah.
Some of the money from the over by Bobby Mackey's, when that was running some illegal stuff, it would come this way through the Kansas City Fish Market.
Well, side note, it's kind of funny to me how every city or every little town that's been used by the mob, they call it Little Chicago. I find that funny. So.
Well, they did call where Bobby Mackey's is, that area there, they called that Little Las Vegas.
See, that would make sense.
Yeah, I could see that.
So, but yeah, I mean, that part of the history of that area is so much more interesting than some of the history that's been presented.
Yeah.
But that's a whole different thing. Let's see, we have a couple questions here. Let's see. Cassie asks, what's the plan for other episodes once PS gets picked up?
Well, the plan is... Go ahead, Dan. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say we were actually just talking about that right before the show. So the plan is we need to make a plan.
Yeah, pretty much. What we shot was, like a pilot episode. We're going to turn it into a sizzle reel because that's what the networks want to see, the sizzle with the treatment and all that. So that's where we're starting our basis off of, is that little formula there. Once it gets picked up, though, within the treatment, we've already got, I think it's 12 different ideas for different episodes listed.
At least 12 listed and more every time we talk.
Yeah. And not every episode. This is something I think people need to remember, especially with TV. Every episode of every show is the exact same. With paranormal studies, you're not going to get the same episode every week, week in, week out. You're not going to be dealing with the same investigators week in, week out. Sometimes it's not even going to be haunted locations that we're dealing with. There's a lot of moving parts within this show, but somehow the way I have it in my head and the way I'm able to talk to Dan about it, it works. It fits, and it's what we need. And honestly, without giving too much away, I guess, it's exactly what everybody talks about in the paranormal field.
Perfect. Because, like I said, I'm excited just to see something that, not because your name's on it, okay?
Right.
Just because these people are my friends and they're on TV. Yes, I'm excited to see them be on TV, but I'm more excited to see what they have to present and how they're presenting it different than what's being presented now.
Well, right. I think
or last week,
Well, and that's kind of the whole thing. I mean, it's and that was discussed when we first, architected the show. Is it's not about us. Neither of us, I don't think, really wants to get famous. I mean, Dave's got an ego, but we're used to that. But it's not about us getting famous. It's about actually bringing the truth out, and so it's kind of almost a paranormal bullshit or not in a way.
Yeah, we're looking to push this to advance the field. I mean, so often in these shows they say, "Oh, we're out to make or find groundbreaking evidence." What evidence would be groundbreaking, honestly?
Well, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dave.
I was going to say, even if somebody got the most amazing EVP or got a video of an apparition or a photo of something, because I'm not there, I'm still skeptical of how you got that or what it is. That doesn't make it groundbreaking.
Yeah, and I mean, it kind of honestly, it sort of dovetails, and I have this question all the time. People show me pictures or send me EVPs, and they're, what do you think of this? And I say it's great. It's really cool. It's not evidence; it's an anomaly.
Yeah,
and I think that's that's a huge difference that people generally don't understand in the paranormal world. Is if you can't duplicate it and it doesn't move you towards some sort of a resolution, it's neat. Not trying to belittle it. I mean, it's definitely something that exists, but it's not evidence of much of anything other than it's an electronic anomaly or a photographic anomaly. And, you can have 100,000 of those and it doesn't help you understand anything better. And so what we're trying to do is move things forward a little bit and maybe, try and take that next step to understanding what's going on.
I would like to see how you're, kind of like this Expedition Bigfoot is going on right now. They have taken all this data and they've ran it through some algorithms and all this. And through that, they've decided that these 3 weeks are going to be the best 3 weeks to catch a Bigfoot based on 50 years of history. Huh. It's big data. It's something like I do for work. Mm-hmm. And you predict when is going to be the best time. Maybe we can come up with something like that. When is going to be the best time at a certain location to actually have paranormal activity and not from people's hearsay.
Well, and that's kind of, to talk about the PRI for just a second. That's one of the things that we're doing is when we're doing investigations, we're actually coordinating with the REG, the random event generator, and we keep these logs. So every investigation we do is literally logged by minute from the time we start until the time we end, and we're already starting to see trends. We've done about 5 investigations now. It'll be 6 in March, and we can kind of look at the data now and almost predict when's going to be, a hot time and when's not. And, the more data we gather, the more we'll be able to do that. So, yeah, that's kind of the ultimate goal, is being able to predict paranormal activity.
Like I said, that would be kind of nice. I mean, people spend $1,000 to rent, partially rent, Waverly Hills.
Right.
You want to go when it's going to be the most active. You don't want to go there and sit on your hands and go, well, that was a waste of money.
Right.
That would be nice to know. There are certain places that if there's a new moon, it's active as heck. There's other places, if it's a full moon, it's active as heck. There's some places that, unless it's 3 days before the full moon, you're not getting nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there have been times where we went to the Sally House. Was it active all the time? No, but I couldn't tell you when that was going to be. I could have 50 people in there and go, they get to say, has there been any activity today? And I'm like, nope. Thunderstorm comes up. Yep, now there is. But you don't know that until it happens.
Well, see, and what you're getting right there, all these different ideas, like with the moon phases, or does an electrical storm create
barometric
activity?
Pressure, temperature, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
All these variances are things that we're actually looking to investigate with paranormal studies. Paranormal studies isn't necessarily investigating a haunting. What we're investigating are theories and ideas, equipment, and techniques that are in the paranormal field. So basically what we're taking is everybody's thoughts on this, and we're putting it to the test.
Like I said, I think I'd find that a lot more interesting than some of the things that we're seeing. I would like to learn. I mean, watching this stuff on TV, it's paratainment. We all know that. But I'd like to learn something that I can use in the field.
Exactly. Well, and the other thing is that one of the big hopes of paranormal studies, if we make it onto the air, is that it will force these other shows, which, let's face it, 99% of them are absolute trash. It's going to force them to up their game. There's some very good investigators doing these shows, but I don't know as the producers are necessarily letting them investigate. And so if we can kind of bring that out, it's going to force them to up their game and do a better job at what they're doing as well.
Well, I'm going to ask you another question. This is from Tom McNicholas. He says, when are you guys coming to Chicago to film? Because him and Nick could help.
Well, that's going to remain to be seen. The first thing on our plate right now is getting this thing shopped around. We got to find somebody that's willing to take a chance on picking this show up, because all networks want the entertainment value. They make the money on selling commercials and having viewers and just making it as entertaining as possible. But with us doing what we're doing, it's going against the grain of what all these other paranormal shows are doing. So the thought process for them is this going to be something people are going to be interested in? Is this going to be something that we can make money on? So if these channels, or if a network does take a chance on this and asks us to film some episodes, I'm sure we'll end up in Chicago at some point.
Especially since I'm so close.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Are you afraid that someone's going to take your idea and run with it? Without you.
I'm glad you asked.
Well, if this is going to be longer than a 2-minute answer, can it wait?
No, it's not going to be that long. Okay. We have the show idea, the information about the show and everything. It's all copywritten. So if anybody tries to, I can lawyer up.
Okay. Well, because I know that some of the ideas that other friends of mine have had, and a lot of these same people, that their ideas were taken and other people were put in the roles of the ideas that they had.
Right.
Their ideas were basically taken from them from the production company and used for a TV show, and they got nothing.
Yep.
Not even the recognition for the idea.
Well, with what we're putting out, when we're putting it out, it's all dated, and with the copyright, I think it's going to benefit us a lot more than hurt us. So.
Oh yeah, I think so. We haven't. Well, I'm going to ask the questions when I come back. So if you guys have any questions out there, please put them in chat. And if I don't get them, please re-ask them to make sure that I get them. Carl, I have yours. I'll be asking that when we come back from the break. But I think that now that you guys have heard a little bit more about paranormal studies and what's going on, I know that you guys got to have some really good questions out there. So, because I know I have a few more rattling around in my head. And
we can even talk about the pilot that we shot too, because it was an interesting.
It was actually a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, I'm friends with some of the people that were in those pilots, so I can't wait to hear.
Yep.
What is allowed to be shared at this point. So, but everybody, you're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. We will be back with David and Dan in just a few minutes. So come on back.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experienced Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama. You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore, and my guests tonight are David Glidden and Dan Williams, and we are talking about paranormal studies and all the stuff that's entailed with that. But before we go further, I'm going to ask you this question from Carl because he put it out there quite a while ago. Okay. He wants to know is there going to be any new equipment that you guys are going to be using to help prove any of your theories?
Well, that's going to kind of remain to be seen, because one of the episode ideas that I've got, it involves, I don't want to say new equipment, but revamped equipment. There's a guy who's making equipment that he's just kind of repurposing, and it's very interesting what he's doing, and I would love to get him on the show, and I'd love to be able to show what he's doing and test it. But there's different ways of handling that question, really.
There is. I mean, when it comes right down to it, some equipment doesn't really work. That right there is the big question. Does the SLS camera really work? Is it really showing?
And so the best answer I would have to that is I think it does to a certain extent. But I would say about 90% of the results that people get from the SLS camera are false positives. But, in other circumstances, I think it does work occasionally. It'll show anomalies on occasion.
The other thing people have to remember with the SLS camera is it wasn't necessarily just designed to map out stick figures. What's his name? Bill Chappell actually designed the software that went with it. And that software would read your barometric pressure, your temperature, all these different variables. But nobody really pays attention to that, or do they log it?
Right. Because, I mean, I've seen some Rob Demarest recently made a post about the SLS and not only the SLS, but using the game, using that.
The Nintendo or the Xbox,
yeah,
and
using that. And he was trying to, I don't know how I feel either way, but he's got on the negative side saying it doesn't work and this is why, and he posted some videos to go along with that. And then you've got the people on the other side saying, nope, it works every time. There's got to be a happy medium in there somewhere.
Well, that's exactly it. I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. And and speaking of that, actually, when I was up in Alaska, I had a really weird event happen with the Xbox because, I mean, we weren't investigating. I was at a friend's house that was actually extremely active, but we were just hanging out there, and we're sitting on the couch. And while we're sitting on the couch, the Xbox was just kind of sitting doing its thing, and the Kinect was running. And we happened to glance over, and we saw a figure walk behind the couch, stand there for a moment, and turn around and walk back the other way. And there was nothing we could figure out that would have done that. I mean, it was static. It happened once. It wasn't like it's something that happened over and over again. And so it definitely was an interesting anomaly. But, it's like everything else. If there's something that has enough mass that it's going to show up on there, then it will. But the other thing to remember is that software, that device, is designed to look for human figures. And so it looks for, 5 like points and then maps a stick figure off of it.
Right. And that could be the corner of a wall, could be drapes.
Exactly.
It could be the door jamb. In fact, I was watching Ghost Loop and they kept going, there is a guy, there is a child on, Caliph. And I'm like, it's mapping on the door jamb.
Exactly.
And so, needless to say, I interviewed Sean Austin a long time ago. It had to be 5 years ago at this point, or almost 5 years. And like him a lot. And no, he wasn't the one doing the filming of this at the time, but it's like you're getting a false positive here, and you're presenting it as fact,
right?
That it's real. And another thing is just because it's this size, is it really a child or is it an adult, and it's just further away, or it just can't map all the way? There's I have a lot of questions on that, because even on everybody's favorite, I know that you're on VidiSpace and all that, but on Paranormal Lockdown, it mapped something on a chair, or the leg of a chair, and that, I sat there and I just shook my head and I'm like, well, I guess I'm not going to like this show much longer.
Yeah, right. No, I completely agree. And, I'm just because I'm on VidiSpace, I mean, I'm in no way binded to agree with anything they do or put up, because there are some things on there that I think are just crap. It's all entertainment.
It is. And I mean, I love the stuff Ghostcrier puts out as well.
Uh-huh.
And it's very interesting. I don't have an opinion yet on what I think about what they present.
Yeah, I actually want to work with those guys.
Well, make sure that if you do that you bring Bush Light.
Yeah,
just
no,
a heads up, Bush Light.
Aaron and I talk a lot. I mean, he calls me at like 6 o'clock in the morning because something, hit him like a lightning bolt and a new theory, and he wants to discuss it. So we talk a lot, and a lot of the stuff they're doing, I think, has a lot of validity to it. And we've been talking for a long time about let's put it to the scientific test, and let's run it, the stuff that they do alongside the stuff that we do, and see what actually shakes out with it.
Right.
So
because their way of, at least the way that they talk about investigating, seems to match up with the way you guys want to investigate.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And and everybody needs a really tall guy that can make you laugh
and speaks at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Absolutely. How else?
Well,
do you
that's
stay awake?
Aaron can go that way. Nick is a whole.
Nick
everybody needs an
big
Aaron
teddy
and a
bear.
Nick on their show.
Oh, yeah.
I know. And we had a lot of fun with them when we went down the dog patch, and
oh yeah, those guys are great.
And when they came, Nick came out to DeKalb, and he gave his talk out there as well, and it was good. Even though I'd heard it before, I heard it again and still liked it. So I mean, anybody that can give you a talk at one event in May and the same talk again in August, and you're still learning stuff from it, that's got to be there's got to be something good about it.
Yeah.
So, but I like them guys. I think that they're fun. And the thing with Aaron though is he doesn't sleep at night. That's why he's calling you at that time.
Yeah, I know. Well, I know because he knows I don't sleep at night either, and so it's just this weird like dynamic of sleep deprivation, and
I think
funny.
the only time he sleeps is when his daughter's there because she wears him out.
It's funny. Aaron and I have talked about filming something. It may end up being like a paranormal studies thing. I don't know, but it started off as humorous, and then we really started thinking about it, and we started talking about like filming something just for online, just for everybody on YouTube or Facebook or whatever. But
you mean paranormal funnies?
Yes.
Yes.
We thought about playing or like getting a bunch of well-known investigators together, going to a haunted location, like, I don't know, like Farrar Schoolhouse or something. And everybody sit in a circle and we play Spin the Bottle. And whoever the bottle lands on has to go in the closet with a ghost for 5 minutes in heaven.
Nice. Nice.
Well, then you need to get Chad Lindbergh if you're going to go there.
Oh, I don't even want to get started on Chad Lindbergh.
Again, like I said, I just remember him at Farrar Schoolhouse.
Well, he blew me off on an interview for a documentary film, and I'm like, still a little chafed about that.
So you got dissed, and I understand.
I don't know if he actually blew you off or his handler blew you off.
I think his handler made him blow me off.
That was kind of the feeling that I got.
But I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, we're seeing that a little bit more in the field as they get handlers.
Yeah, that's something. With me doing this whole Paracon, I'm noticing like all these people have agents or management or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how legit are you if you have a manager?
I tell you what, the trend that really is starting to grind my gears with the paranormal shows is these people on the paranormal shows referring to people that aren't on paranormal shows in a very derogatory tone as amateur investigators.
Yeah.
That one is really starting to fire me up, especially when, we're watching them blatantly do things wrong for results.
Oh, I agree with you. I remember the last episode of Ghost Hunters, and I know everybody's going to think about this, and they're going to go watch it now. But there was a scene where a door opened. Okay, my friend Frank Bennett, you guys know Frank Bennett.
Uh-huh.
He sent me this thing. He goes, "Did you see that? That door opened," and they go, "Oh," and they walk away. They didn't check out why the door opened, and I was like, that irritated the life out of me because I had seen it too. And I was like, well, what in the world? Why didn't they go check to see why that door opened? You know, it was like, oh, okay. So was it set up to do that? And they just saw the door and just kept on going because it was somebody who was behind it? Or, but they actually said something about the door opening, but then ignored it.
Well, that's the one thing I'll say is, like, when it comes to the power of editing, sometimes things like that will slip through where something happens and people will think it's paranormal, but at the investigation at that time, the investigators probably already knew what caused that. But, you know, production companies, editors, they'll throw that stuff in there because it's interesting.
Yeah, but in this case, like I said, they noticed it, they said something about it, and completely went the other direction. You know, so if it was nothing and there was somebody there, they shouldn't have said anything and they shouldn't have showed any of that at all.
Yeah,
it could have very well been an editing faux pas too.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I realize that it can take up to 7 days to get 42 minutes of footage that you can use for an hour show.
Well, you know, and the thing is, honestly, it shouldn't. Quite honestly.
But if you're not having activity, though, it happens.
Well, you know, and that's where it's kind of come down to have the guts to say, we were here, we didn't have activity.
Well, that was the reason that I really liked Ghost Hunters in the beginning, was because they said they went to this place, and remember the bar in California that had all the fake stuff?
Yes.
Right.
I loved it when they called them out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean that sort of thing doesn't exist anymore. And like I said, if you're taking film enough to get 42 minutes. What's that?
We lost you for a second.
Oh, okay. If you're taking 7 days to film 42 minutes worth of stuff just to pack enough jump scares and oh wow moments, then you're doing something wrong.
Yeah. Because I mean, I'm not saying I'm better than anybody else or anything, but Denise, you filmed with me at the Sally house. We did one night, and we were able to put together like a 50-minute episode.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, there wasn't a bunch of jump scares or anything like that, but I mean, there was plenty of footage where I could have like made it seem like we were getting activity when we weren't.
Right, and I mean, we also filmed. You filmed at
Kendrick Place.
Yeah. And so we had a whole bunch of other times, and we filmed at Duffy's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so we've had a few experiences, and I know that you're not going to make a mountain out of a molehill.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's important for integrity. And you know, Kat interviewed Jim Mallard last night. Another guy, lots and lots of integrity, and you know, lots of respect there for him. But the same for you, David. You know, knowing that you're a big goof off on top of everything, it even makes it better that I know that the integrity is there.
Yeah.
And at this point, we're going to take another break, and I'm going to come back to these questions that I have in chat when we come back. But everybody, you're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. We'll be back with Dave and Dan in just a few minutes.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Jack Speer. President Donald Trump apparently seeking to overshadow tomorrow's first-in-the-nation primary is speaking tonight at a rally in New Hampshire. NPR's Tamara Keith has more from NNHU Arena in Manchester.
President Trump lost New Hampshire by fewer than 3,000 votes in 2016, and his campaign is working hard to make sure that doesn't happen again. They have staff on the ground. They've built an infrastructure in New Hampshire, and this will be President Trump's second rally in the state. He was there in August. Now he's back, and he's back on the eve of the New Hampshire primary as sort of a show of force.
NPR's Tamara Keith in New Hampshire. Meanwhile, Senator Amy Klobuchar is making her final pitch to voters after gaining momentum across New Hampshire in the final day before the primary. New Hampshire Public Radio's Daniela Ali has this report from Nashua, New Hampshire.
Ann Vermette came to hear Senator Amy Klobuchar speak at a Rotary Club meeting in Nashua. Vermette says she's an independent and just in the last week has decided to support Klobuchar. She says she likes the senator's pragmatism and congressional record. She's also been spending time talking up Klobuchar to her friends.
They seriously will consider it. Yes.
Do you think you've converted anyone over?
Yes, absolutely.
Really?
Yes.
How many?
Oh, maybe 10 to 12.
While Bernie Sanders and Pete Buttigieg are leading in the polls, Klobuchar, Elizabeth Warren, and Joe Biden are within a few points of each other. For NPR News, I'm Daniela Ali in Concord, New Hampshire.
Amazon is seeking to depose President Trump in its legal challenge of a lucrative defense contract awarded to rival Microsoft. That's according to court documents unsealed in a case that Amazon is pursuing against the Pentagon. Amazon contends influence from Trump's personal animus towards CEO Jeff Bezos. NPR's Lena Selyuk has more.
Amazon wants President Trump and Defense Secretary Mark Esper to testify in court about the massive military tech contract that the company lost to Microsoft. Amazon is challenging the Pentagon's award of the $10 billion cloud computing contract. It's called JEDI. It had been mired by controversy for months. At first, rivals alleged Amazon itself had cozy ties with military officials, but then the president got publicly involved, asking Esper to review the bidding process. Amazon later accused Trump of interfering out of a, quote, personal agenda against Bezos because he owns the Washington Post. The White House and the Pentagon are likely to fight Amazon's deposition requests. Alina Selyuk, NPR News, Washington.
Roads have been washed out by flash flooding, and some schools were forced to close early as bad weather's hit the deep south today. Dozens of roads underwater in low-lying areas of the Tennessee Valley. Cars were moving on flooded streets in Birmingham. The heaviest rains were reported across Mississippi and Alabama, though flash flood watches and warnings stretch from East Texas to the Carolinas today. On Wall Street, the Dow closed up 174 points. This is NPR. A cruise ship docked in Japan has the largest outbreak of coronavirus anywhere outside China. And the number of confirmed infections effectively doubled overnight. From Tokyo, Abigail Leonard reports 65 people quarantined on the ship have been found to have the virus, bringing the total number of cases on board to 135.
There are roughly 3,700 people aboard the ship in the port of Yokohama. For now, Japan's health ministry is only testing those who have symptoms or who had sustained contact with infected patients. Officials had said they didn't have the capacity to test everyone on board, but they're now considering it. It's been nearly a week since the ship was locked down after a passenger who disembarked in Hong Kong was found to have the virus. For NPR News, I'm Abigail Leonard in Tokyo.
3 people, including 2 police officers, were shot today at a Walmart in eastern Arkansas. Police officials in Forest City, Arkansas, saying 2 officers were wounded. The gunman was killed. Still not clear as what prompted the shooting, which is currently being investigated by the Arkansas State Police Criminal Investigation Division. One of the wounded police officers was undergoing surgery but was reported to be in good condition. Initial reports were of a man making threats at the store. Last year, a gunman shot and killed 22 people at a Walmart in El Paso, Texas. 3 people were fatally shot at an Oklahoma Walmart in November. Crude oil futures prices have fallen to their lowest level in a year as OPEC debates whether to cut output in an effort to boost prices. Oil ended the session down 75 cents a barrel to close at $49.57 a barrel on the New York Mercantile Exchange. I'm Jack Speer, NPR News in Washington.
This message comes from NPR sponsor Walden University. At Walden, they see greatness in you, and they have a doctoral degree program that can help you reach your full potential. Turn your passion into power and ignite your career. Learn more about our online doctoral programs at waldenu.edu/doc.
Welcome back to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 5 minutes after the hour.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore, and my guests tonight are Dan Williams and David Glidden. And yoo-hoo! And we have a question for you in chat. And where did it go? Did it move? Here we go. Dan and Dave, what do you think of sound therapy to enhance paranormal activity? This is from Tom McNicholas.
I think it definitely bears some more investigation. You know, without actually doing some experimentation, I wouldn't feel comfortable saying what I think or don't think of it. But when it comes right down to it, energy is energy. You know, yeah. Sound energy is just as valid as electrical energy. And I mean, Tesla proved that.
Yeah. I actually use sound a lot in some of my investigations. I mean, Denise, you know, like at the Kendrick place, we did the Singapore theory where you replay sounds from the time period to elicit not just a response, but any kind of activity.
Well, I mean, look what you subjected me to with the pink noise.
Exactly. And that's where I was getting ready to head to. I've used white noise and pink noise in certain situations. I've run some experiments where, like what Dan was referring to, where we kind of took sensory deprivation and flipped it. With Dan, and I did this with Josh Hurd as well, you basically put somebody in a room or in a hallway, and you turn on a strobe light. So they're viewing the strobe, but at the same time, they're also getting a flooding of pink or white noise in the background. So you're heightening their vision and you're heightening their sound. But what we try to do to take it up a notch is we pump negative or positively charged ions into the atmosphere for about 5 hours, just to kind of touch on that physical aspect.
And then stuck me in a freezing cold room.
Yeah, that too.
Well,
and with Josh,
you're used to it, Alaska.
Yeah, exactly.
He saw Alaska on your head and said, he's the perfect guy.
And the other thing with Josh and Dan is we don't put them up against a wall, so their back is completely exposed. So you have this little psychological play on what's coming up behind you. So basically, and I like to call it the sensory overload experiment, because you're messing with feelings, you're messing with their mind, you're messing with sight and sound, and basically the reason we do that is, number one, we want to see what they say they experience. Number two, if it correlates with anything that gets picked up during the recording. And then number three, we just want to see how people perceive things when it's not there.
Right. And so everybody will know, what is pink noise?
Pink noise is basically white noise. It's just on a different frequency. It's the best way to put it.
Okay. Well, like I said, I don't know if that question was going to come, but I figured I better ask it.
Right.
Because you never know. And Carl asks, the locations that you guys are looking at, will they have inside and outside locations?
There's a lot of variables.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can probably go ahead and say that the pilot we did some outside investigation stuff, which kind of turned out to be very interesting.
Yeah, the pilot we shot both inside and outside, and like I said, it's going to be a case by case, episode by episode. Like that's what's going to dictate the episodes. Like the topic, the subject matter, if we're shooting inside or outside. So.
And I have another question from Cassie. She asks, "What is your dream network on? What station would that be, or network?"
I would like to be on probably like A&E would be wonderful.
Yeah. Destination America has gotten played out with so many.
Destination America is not so much doing it. Sci-Fi certainly isn't doing it.
Travel Channel is just too much. Although they do provide their hosts with a lot of comfort.
Right.
But as far as respectability, I think I would have to agree with Dan. Like A&E or whoever else picks us up besides them, like Travel Channel and Destination.
I will give you a hint. One of my favorite shows used to be on WeTV, and that was Ghost in the Hood.
Huh.
So I know that's probably one you hadn't thought about.
No, not at all.
Women's entertainment.
Yeah.
WeTV
I've never even heard of it.
Yeah. You'll have to look up Ghost in the Hood, but it was one of our favorite shows, and they didn't take themselves too seriously, which is, they're a lot like Ghost Brothers as well.
Right.
But I liked them. I thought they were very personable people, and I'm actually friends with a couple of the people on the show now. And we're going to be visiting them in Vegas when we go. Oh, cool. So it'll be interesting. Kat asks, what frequency? So when we talked about pink noise, what would that frequency be? Do you know?
Now that would be a question for Mr. John Long. He is my technician, basically. Like, he builds equipment and everything like that. So that would be a question for him. The way John and I have our relationship as far as ghost hunting and stuff, basically I'll come up with ideas and I'll pitch it to him. Like for some of these devices that we've built and experimented with, I'll come to him with these different ideas and he basically figures it all out and builds it.
Yeah, he is somewhat of a twisted genius. He actually he got my ultraviolet spotlight finish for me, so.
And it looked nice too.
It's very cool. Except I actually flashed myself with it, so yeah, the UV stuff is going to be really important.
Yeah.
Yeah, and John is one of my favorite people in the whole world.
He's a weird one, but he is.
No, not because he's weird. Maybe he likes me and makes him weird. But he'll send me little messages that I need every once in a while.
Nice.
Especially when I'm sick. He'll send something to me, and him and his wife are such the nicest people.
Oh yeah,
and
wonderful people.
And I love visiting with them. So, and I just haven't gotten a chance to see them lately.
And John has some stories, I'll tell you. I mean, he's got some really seemingly far-fetched stories, but, I mean, they're there. He's experienced a lot.
Well, yeah, he told us a lot of things when we were at the Kendrick house, and whenever he's ready to talk, I know you're going to be first, but I'd like to be next. Because a lot of people may not treat him with the respect that we would.
Yeah.
But John is a good man, and I love him and his wife. They are such nice people.
You know what? Speaking of which, like, that's something like with Paranormal Frequencies. That's something I love. Is that people love him telling his campfire tales on the show. Like he gets into it. I mean, he's not the best reader or anything like that, but just the energy he puts into his readings is number one, it's hilarious, but number two, it's awesome. He gets people excited about it. So he's got his own little segment that we do on that show, which is I think that's just awesome.
Yeah, he's a Bob Newhart. I love Bob Newhart. Okay, yeah. I love the way that he tells jokes and he talks. And John sometimes says things, and he's joking, but you don't know that he's joking if you don't know him.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. He got me today, actually. So
of course he did. That's his whole thing. So if you guys ever get to meet John Long, consider yourself lucky.
You'll be at the Joplin Paracon.
So, and when is the Joplin Paracon?
That'll be September 4th and 5th.
And it's a para-concert, right?
That's right. It's doubling as a paranormal convention / music event.
And who's confirmed so far?
So far, I have Cheryl and Orville Murphy from the Board Camp Crystal Mines. They're going to be there presenting. If you've watched Into the Light 2, that camp that we went to where they had all that activity that's them. They're going to be there.
Also super cool people.
Oh yeah.
They seem like it.
Oh, they're amazing.
Orville's a riot. And Cheryl is just so sweet. She puts up with a lot. Josh Hurd will be there. He'll be there as a vendor for Malvern. He's also speaking, but he said he'd also play some music too. So that might be going on during the day. And then I just announced Mary Barrett. That's it. Mary Barrett, who is a psychic medium.
Yeah, she's in Virginia, or not Virginia, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had her on my show, and she ended up sick, and we only talked for like 20 minutes, and I had to cut my show short. But yeah, she is a very nice lady. I got to, like I said, I'm friends with her, and got to talk with her, and
she's going to not only is she going to be a vendor and speaking, but she's going to do two gallery readings. We're going to do one on Friday and then one on Saturday. The one on Friday, we are going to charge for that one because it'll kind of limit the amount of people for that reading, and people will get a better chance at getting a reading as opposed to Saturday where it's going to be free and there'll be a lot of people there, and yeah. So, and then another one that I'm debating on announcing because like he's given me the okay, but he hasn't like given me the definitive okay, and that's Jeff Mudgett.
Oh well, it's because he's expensive.
Not really. He's doing it. He's giving me a friend discount.
Well, that's good. And that means that, that means that I can't run into him at Red Rocks in Vegas.
Oh, no.
That trip. Well, actually, he could be back by the time, because we're leaving on the 4th to go to Vegas for our granddaughter's birthday on Labor Day.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know where our priorities are with those kids. Plus, we're seeing Lacey and Lindsay too. So that's my priority. And Ron's mom is flying to Vegas with Ron's brother. It'd be the first time she's been out there to see Piper. Yeah. So it'd be the second time she's seen her.
Nice.
Well,
it's a big deal for us.
Which I totally understand.
I'm sure Paranormal Studies will probably have a booth there.
Yeah, we'll have a booth there. There's also going to be some really cool vendors, one of which he said he wants to. Right now he's in the studio making music. It's Rob Zombie's guitarist, Riggs, Jehovah Riggs. He's got a tattoo shop around here, and he wants to bring the tattoo parlor to the Paracon.
Oh, nice. I know what I'm buying.
Right now, like I said, it's still up in the air, but he said he's recording some music in studio right now, and so he needs to see what September will hold for him, but he really wants to come out. Also, the bands that we've got booked already, Driver and First Strike. First Strike was a semi-popular band from the 80s, like hair metal. They're going to be there as well as Driver. They've both been up for some awards out in Oklahoma. So, and I've heard Driver before. I'm pretty good friends with the drummer, and so it's going to be a rocking night on Saturday. But Friday night, I'm still in talks with somebody, a special person that I've been trying to get out there like the plague.
Is it who I think it is?
His music is at the end of Into the Light 1.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, okay, cool.
Yes. So, very special person to me. I appreciate him, and I love his music. Mr. Randall Shreve, I'll put his name out there. I'm trying to get him out there. So,
gotta see if you can get Dead Man's Hand to come out of retirement.
I've gotten some ties with some international touring artists, but getting them there is so tricky.
Oh, I know. Basically, it's hard to get anybody down there for one reason alone. There's no good airport, and you have to drive from probably Kansas City or Springfield.
Well, the biggest issue really is when they're under contract, you have to deal with management.
Yep.
Instead of dealing with the people themselves.
Right. I had that issue with Johnny Hauser last year. So
really,
whole different problem, or the same problem. So, and I've known Johnny for 11 years.
Yeah.
Everybody, you're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. We'll be back with David and Dan in just a few minutes.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... Nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk radio.
Listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experienced Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Since 1948, Fate Magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
The time is 23 minutes after the hour.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore, and my guests tonight are David Glidden and Dan Williams. And before we went to the top of the hour break, we were talking about the pilot. So let the cat out of the bag about the pilot.
Okay, Dan, you want to start it off?
Yeah, I can. So basically, this pilot was not what people would expect for probably a pilot for a TV show. We got into a little bit of psychology on it, which you don't see a whole lot of it. The crux of it was, what's the power of suggestion in an investigation? And I'll let you take over from there, Dave, because I don't know how far you want to go.
Okay. So basically what we did was we put a casting call out for 6 investigators, 6 people to join us on this filming process. And, we went through several applicants, and we picked out certain people for certain reasons. And when we did that, we had it in our mind that we would pick 2 locations that there was no information about a haunting about. There was nothing to suggest a haunting at these locations that's out there. And that's what we ended up with. And then with these 6 people, the first night we went to the first location, and we split the group up into 2 groups of 3. The first place we went to was a mausoleum, and there was some wilderness, some woods, some property.
Yeah, there was some property on there, and a lake, and it was very horror movie-ish.
Yeah. So the first group, they were to go into the mausoleum with no knowledge about the place. They had no knowledge about the history, no knowledge about if there was any claims or not. And then the second group was told some claims and some history, and they were to go off and investigate. And then we would switch it up where, the group would go outside that was inside and vice versa and investigate. So then after that, we didn't tell anybody anything. Nobody had any knowledge about what was going on. So on night 2, we went to our second location, And we flipped the script on it, where the group that was previously told that it was haunted were told that it was not haunted. And the group that wasn't told, or that was told that it wasn't haunted, was told that it was haunted. And we let both groups investigate separately to see what they would come up with or what would happen. And by giving them false information, we instilled.
We kind of primed the pump.
We kind of helped them determine whether or not they're having paranormal activity or not, or it kind of primed their brain or wired it to be looking for certain things. And there's a really good example in the filming that I won't go into detail about what it was, but it really showcased the power of suggestion on an investigation. And that's what we were trying to do. We were trying to show just how much you can influence yourself going into an investigation by knowing what people have experienced, what people have documented or said they documented, and knowing the history of a location.
Yeah, I like going in blind. I prefer it at least the first time. After that, everything's fair game after that.
Right.
I want to know history. I don't want to know anything when I first go in. I don't want my mind to be colored by something that shouldn't be there.
Well, one of the reasons that we decided to do this is if you, again, watch the shows that are on TV, the standard formula of these shows is they do their little introductory part on these locations. And so they go into the history and they go into this person had this experience and this person had that experience. And so that's basically what the first 20 minutes of an hour-long show is the producers priming the pump and expecting the viewing audience to then see these things because, they said it was here, so it must be here. And so that was kind of why we did it, was let's just show exactly how influenced not only the investigators, but the viewing audience can be.
And the key thing about this was one group were more experienced investigators, where the second group had very minimal experience. We're talking like 1 to 2 investigations between the three of them.
Right.
And the group that really showed us like just how much influencing somebody's perception or thought about a place, that group was the more experienced investigators.
Well, that just proves that experience pays.
Well, no. What I'm saying is the group that was experienced were the ones that were more easily influenced.
Oh, because they bought it hook, line, and sinker.
I'm
not saying that exactly that, but that's because I know that when I watch these shows, I know that that's exactly what they want us to see or to believe, and they want us to take that bait.
Right.
That this location, doesn't matter which location it is haunted by this woman in white, or this man, or this shadow figure, or there's children here. And it's like, okay, why would there be? There's all these different things that they pop into your mind. And if I tell you I see something, I see it. I don't want people to tell me anything. I went on the first tour at Malvern with Josh, but before I even went on the tour, I'd already had activity.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody saw it that was there. But, that's a whole different thing. But when we went on the tour, I just got very frustrated. So I told Ron, I said, from now on, I don't go on the first tour with anybody. Second time we go, I'll go on the tour. I'm not going the first time anymore.
Now, I do want to say that I'm not throwing shade at any of the investigators that were there for filming. And each group had their...
They each had their moments.
Yeah, they had their moments. But I will say that seeing what we were able to see, especially from the experienced investigators, it just kind of brings to light how much investigators in general take the information and run with it.
Right.
I think that's, knowing what I knew about what you were doing before, when you told me, I'm just really interested still to see the pilot, to see how it turned out, because what you've told me is just wetting the whistle.
Yes.
For me to see, because I know Charlie was in it,
Yep.
and I know I probably know everybody that was in it.
Probably.
But Charlie, he just spent Christmas and New Year's here, so needless to say,
yeah,
he's one of my kids too. And
so I don't know if you knew about this or not, Denise. Did you know that the PRI is actually going to start doing a podcast, and Charles is running it?
Oh yeah, I know. He was asking me about. He asked me some questions about podcasting.
Yeah, he's pretty excited. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We're really looking forward to seeing what he does.
He is going to do well as long as he doesn't make it harder than he has to.
Right.
leaving certain people out of it. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, well, I'm not worried about people.
But no, ultimately, everybody that was involved in the shooting, they were wonderful. They were amazing to work with. They were incredibly tolerant of our shenanigans.
Yeah, they put up with a lot, because
they really did.
I literally kept everything to a minimum as far as telling them what we're doing. They had no idea. Like, they were to show up in Kansas City, and they did, with no idea of what's going on. They didn't know where we were going until we were going there. They didn't know what was happening until it happened, and they put up with that for 2 nights. And
right, and for as long as our night was, theirs was just as long. And they really kept very positive through the whole thing. So no, I will always say, huge kudos to all of them.
Absolutely.
Like I said, I was Ron and I went to St. Louis that weekend for his birthday. So the whole time I was waiting for, live feeds and all that. But again, I wasn't going to turn them on because of the fact that we were with family.
Right.
And it was Ron's birthday, and he hates it when I'm on my phone.
Right.
So I try.
Understand, Ron. I understand completely.
Yeah, my phone is probably the biggest detriment, but most helpful thing I have.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you told me your concept, and you had said you didn't want anybody that might be sensitive.
Yeah, for that filming, yeah.
Because I had I'd looked at it and said, oh, maybe I should do that, and then I was like, nah, I don't know who I'd be with, and then you call me and say you weren't eligible anyway.
Yeah, we wanted to keep that out of the whole thing, because if there was somebody who is sensitive or psychic or medium, whatever they want to call themselves, and they go there and they start picking up on all this stuff, that kind of defeats the purpose. We want people that didn't have the ability.
The thing is, they could pick it up off of you and Dan.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, big secret. When it comes to playing a practical joke on somebody, things like that, I'm not a good person because I start laughing beforehand.
Right. Well, and the other thing is that I think there's maybe another. There may be a whole nother show in mediums and psychics, and so we kind of decided to keep that on the back burner too.
Yes.
Yeah. And, like I told David, I can keep a secret. I can't play a joke on anybody, but I can keep a good secret. And that's the thing. That's where my relationship comes in a lot of times is, you want to tell somebody something and they don't have it go nowhere? I'm probably the person to tell. They ain't going anywhere. But I am so glad that you guys got to do what you did, because I was trying to find you a location, and from what I understood, the locations that you got were excellent.
They turned out really, really well. And they're, again, huge thanks to the people down in Kansas City that helped us out, because it was right down to the wire on location.
Oh,
we were actually, we were on the phone as I was driving to Kansas City and trying to figure out where we were going to shoot at. And so, huge thank yous to everybody that lined the locations up for us.
Yeah, I mean, it was so bad. Like, we were planning this thing months in advance, and the locations even came down to the wire, and so like our whole weekend was so rushed and.
The stress level that weekend was just through the roof. We both agreed we will not film anymore during conventions.
Yeah,
not unless it's a short convention.
It was.
You're in
brutal.
town for the convention, and then you stay over, or you come in early. It's a whole different thing.
Right.
But it's sometimes though something opens up right away, and you got to take it. So you still have to come prepared.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's the thing. I think we ended up, what was it, Dave? I got 5 hours of sleep in 72 hours, something like that.
Something like that.
It was just ridiculous.
So were you hallucinating, Dan?
No, he was puking, though.
I was puking. Dave tried to kill me with a Bud Light.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so I hadn't eaten. I hadn't
don't even justify it.
Oh, it was totally the Bud Light. I absolutely can't drink that garbage. I was fine with the vodka and the whiskey, but until the Bud Light came out, then it was done.
Well,
that was our wrap-up
it's Bud
party.
Light. Yeah, you wrapped it up, right? Paper towels and everything. Yeah, because I know Dan's more of a.
The scary thing was I didn't even wake up when I threw up. What's that?
That's scary. Well, I know you're more whiskey, bourbon.
Oh, absolutely.
The hard stuff. Because we still have to do our Spirits and Spirits tour.
Yes, we do.
So, and in fact, I know a bunch of those distilleries, and we got to get into your favorite and our favorite.
Oh, yeah. Well, I got a new favorite because I worked there. And so I'm actually trying to get a big investigation because it's a huge building. It's almost 500,000 square foot building.
Oh, yeah. I'd love to get into the West Clocks building.
Yeah, it is just incredible and very, very active just for me walking through there at night. So, yeah, I'm trying to get with the owner and get something arranged where we would get a whole bunch of people in and actually do a good investigation in there.
Are you thinking about trying to get it onto a normal schedule type thing, or just one investigation, show them what they can do, and then say, okay, now if you had charged these people $60 a head,
probably something
whatever,
more like
this
that.
is what you could get.
Yeah,
what you could do.
Like
we just talked Spirits and Spirits. You could actually do like Buffalo Trace does. They have their haunted tour, and afterwards you get samples of spirits that they make.
Right. And I'm sure we would do something like that because, the guys that own the distillery are awesome and they're always down for that kind of stuff. So, and actually in April, I'm supposed to go down to Buffalo Trace because they're going down to pick their barrel and I got invited to help them pick the barrel. So
another good place to pick a barrel is 1792.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
If they still have any left from all this crap that's happening.
Oh, they only lost a couple of barrel houses.
Yeah, but it is a beautiful distillery, though. I mean, I can sit here all night and tell everybody about all the distilleries, but the one you really need to check out, though, is Glens Creek.
Oh yeah,
Ron volunteers to go.
All right, Ron, we're in, man. We'll go.
But
yeah,
he's
got to come to Star Union with me, so I got to show him the home turf.
Well, that's the whole thing. Like I said, we'd love to come and check out the West Clocks building and all that. But if you make it to Buffalo Trace, go down the road, turn right at Millville.
Okay.
Go down this little crickety road that has these. When you come around the turn, sometimes you see the own butt of the car, and it's very narrow. So hopefully nobody comes down with you on the other side. And on the right-hand side of the road is this place that used to be the Old Crow Distillery. It's now
nice.
Glens Creek Distillery.
Okay.
And they will give you a tour. And you can't really get into some of the buildings because they're really dangerous, but we saw deer and fish and all kinds of stuff. It's beautiful down there. And he gave me a very beautiful shot glass for my birthday a few years ago.
Oh, very cool.
So we've been out there twice, and this place has only been investigated once by the Tennessee Wraith Chasers. But we've been out there, like I said, twice, and we've walked around the property. They've taken us into some of the old buildings where they used to make all the liquor and stuff. It's just beautiful. And if you stay on that road going, I think it's south, you'll eventually come to Woodford.
Oh, okay.
There's a whole bunch of other ones too along that road. The old Taylor Distillery is down there. It's called Castle and Key. It is probably the premier place to get married right now because it's so beautiful.
Well, I don't think I need to worry about that.
But I mean, just going in there, I mean, it looks like a big castle. So, and like I said, it might be a mile and a half down the road from there. And all of these distilleries I'm talking about, except for Woodford, I don't think Woodford's too new, but Castle and Key, I hear, is extremely haunted. It wasn't open the last time we were down there, but the old Crow Distillery, Glens Creek, is haunted, and of course so is Buffalo Trace.
We just need to take a trip.
Yep, and so is Wild Turkey, which is just down the next exit over. So, like I said, I know that it's sad how many years I went to Kentucky and didn't do anything except drive there and drive back.
Right.
And then as the kids got older, I had to find ways to keep them busy. And
so you took them to distilleries. Okay.
Why not? They're pretty.
Exactly.
I needed the break. So, but yeah, one of my favorite places to go is Frankfort, Kentucky. They also have a Bojangles. Anybody who's interested in Bojangles, they have one. That's the closest one to my house. So, and grew up eating there, so it is a big deal. So, but yeah, someday, David, you need to go check out some of these distilleries.
Stop drinking Bud Light, Dave.
You don't have to drink.
You have to
go.
Drink.
I mean, I don't.
If we go to a distillery, he's totally drinking.
Well, another.
Then he'll
place
be in my world.
I've been in your world, Dan. I've been there. Actually, well,
you
have
in
the German world.
I was going to say, you're in the Jaeger world. We've got a whole different realm for you, man.
That's a whole different problem. So, everybody, you're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. We'll be back with Dan and David in just a few minutes. But if you guys have any questions, you better get them out there in the chat because this is going to be over before you know it. We'll be back waiting for you.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... Nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experienced Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore, and my guests tonight have been David Glidden and Dan Williams, and we have had such a fun time, and I hope you guys have too. But if you guys have any questions, please put them in the chats, and I will make sure that they get asked, because, you only got about 15 minutes left, and then we're done, and you're going to have to find them on some other radio show, and it's not going to be the same. So, What else do you guys Dan, Ron told me to tell you that he's drinking WL Weller 107 Antique right now.
Oh, dude, I am so jealous.
Another Buffalo Trace specialty.
That's all right. I got a bottle of our legacy rum sitting here waiting for him, so that's 107 proof too.
I'm the rum drinker.
Oh, this one drinks like a whiskey.
Oh, well, then is it aged?
It's aged 5 years in a whiskey barrel and a year in a sherry barrel.
Well, then, yeah, he'd like that too.
Oh, it's good stuff.
My favorite rum right now is the guava berry. Ron just gave you a thumbs up. Is
Right
the guava berry rum from St. Martin's.
Oh, okay.
So Ron says that sounds good. So, but yeah, I guess you're trying to make sure that we come out there.
Absolutely.
Oh, well, we got to do that. Ron just put his thumbs up again. So where are you guys going to be in the next, this year?
This
Do
year?
you have any plans besides the Paraconcert in Joplin and I'm pretty sure you guys are both going to the Kansas City Paracon in April or in August.
City. Other than that, I kind of have kept everything sort of open. I don't, we don't really know what's going on with filming and stuff like that. So I guess we'll kind of go wherever we're needed.
Yeah, at this point, like as far as conferences go, I am scheduled for Kansas City. I'll be speaking at that, but it hasn't been announced yet, so shh. The dog patch.
Aren't you just a mainstay, though?
Yeah, pretty much.
They can't find anybody else, so they put you in there?
Yeah, well, I'm like the reserve guy or something.
Or you're like the bat, they always say like fish. You're just, just keep coming. Okay.
The guys that did the dog patch Paracon last year, they want me to come back for that. But
they
they're gonna
asked
do
me
that.
too.
They're going to do that down in Little Rock, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at the Fee House, and like I said, they asked me, so
I'm not sure if I'm going to do that yet. We're looking to see what happens here. Other than that, like Dan said, kind of keeping the schedule clear. I'm, working on the new show and then the Paracon, and I'm also, while we're in Kansas City, I was also filming a documentary, so I've got that to put together yet too. And but outside of that, it's really just taking care of the family now.
Oh yeah, because you got to leave open a couple dates there in October for a birthday party.
Mm-hmm. Yep, baby time.
Oh yeah, I remember you sent me the message that you guys were going to the hospital, and I was so sick. I had a concussion, and we pull into Dairy Queen, and I go, in Oakville, also haunted. That there's a haunted hotel there, and pull into Oakville, and you're telling me that you're heading to the hospital. We're going to be there in a little bit, and I don't think it was 45 minutes, and you're telling me the baby's there. Yeah. And I was so excited, and it made, even though I was sick with a concussion and everything, I was still that made me happy and made me feel better on that drive down there. So, and of course, there was a couple people that were a little angry at me because I knew before they did. But that's okay.
Funny story about that. So we had the baby on a Sunday. I know because the Bears were playing. And the whole, the day before, she was still having the labor pains and stuff because we went in a week before she was having labor pains. So that Saturday, I was telling her, do not have this baby during the Bears game. Do not do that to me. And
she did.
Well, she had the baby just before the game started.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to watch the game while I was in the hospital.
Well,
everybody's there visiting with the baby, and I'm sitting there on my phone watching the game. So
we had one of my kids, Lacey, was born, in March. there was a hockey game on. With Lindsay, I watched Harry and the Hendersons. So, but not while Lacey was being born was the game on. It was at night. And then with Lauren, I watched Ghostbusters. She was only a 40-minute labor, so Ghostbusters was it. And the fourth one, it was June, so there was no sports on that Ron would watch because he's not a baseball fan. So all worked out. So, but yep, I have one Harry and the Hendersons baby and one Ghostbusters kid.
Perfect. Now you just need it. I was going to say now you just need a Coming to America kid, but.
Well, I've seen that movie so many times, and I love that movie.
I love it.
So, but yeah, you always remember these things, and I think with my fourth one, I don't remember much because it was painful. Mm. So, but I was so happy to hear that she was born healthy and happy, and she has got the best smile. Is that yours or mom's?
We can't tell yet. Like it's kind of a combination. It's right now I guess everybody's saying she looks like me, but I don't see it. But
I see it.
Yeah, I still don't. Maybe it's plausible deniability just in case, but yeah, I just don't see it. But yeah, she is the happiest baby. Even when she's crying, she's smiling. She sleeps through the night. Even at 3 months old, she's still sleeping through the night. And yeah, she's been a sweetheart.
Well, she looks like it, and every picture you send me just makes me smile. So, and there is Ron wants us to give you a big shout out. Thank you for drafting Trubisky ahead of Holmes. That really helped the Chiefs get to the Super Bowl this year.
That's why I wanted the Chiefs to lose, is so that shit would stop. I'm sorry, that stuff would stop. I knew that would be like the talk of all the analysts. The Bears should have grabbed Mahomes first.
Yeah, well, Dave, you swore. I made it without. You swore.
Hey, you swore too. You swore too.
Yes, you did.
Did
you
I?
Both did.
Yeah.
Yes, you did.
Man.
Then you just did it again. So the main thing is that during the game or right when the game was ending, Ron goes, "Send David this and send David that." I'm like, "No, I'm not going to do that." So
I'd rather have Trubisky than be a Packer fan. So.
And it's history now.
Yep.
But it is still funny though watching that guy that hit the
double dunker.
Yes. When I saw him run into that, and Jimmy McVeigh's been posting that he's going to be one of the new linebackers for the Chiefs. Not the guy, but the crap, I don't even remember what it's called anymore. It says I don't ever pay to park. A parking meter.
Oh yeah.
The parking meter is going to be one of our new. I don't watch football very much, but I know enough. But Ron is extremely happy that the Chiefs won because he started watching the Chiefs when he was 4 years old.
Well, I just got to say, after 50 years, I guess they deserve it.
Exactly.
I mean, I didn't have to wait 50 years for another Bears Super Bowl, but it's whatever.
Well, I will tell you, there was one funny thing. I remember the Super Bowl shuffle. Mm-hmm. I loved, the refrigerator Perry back in the day, and my favorite player was always Mike Singletary.
Mm-hmm. The Samurai.
Because his eyes.
Yep.
If you ever watch the videos of him, and his eyes would just get really huge right before he'd hit somebody. Mm-hmm. And then he's so soft-spoken.
People, we're getting on this Bears subject. I'm going to go into all this stuff. People forget that the Bears were in the Super Bowl in 2006. So, they try to make it seem like we haven't been back since 85, but it's whatever.
Right.
Whatever.
And see, in my case, I wouldn't know. The last Super Bowl I watched was the Ravens down in New Orleans. And that was against the 49ers.
And now we have the XFL, so it's all good.
Yeah.
I'm just
So, but yeah, I'm not big into football. It's just it's too political for me anymore.
It's Ron.
No, it's not Ron. So
like saying Ron's name.
Yeah,
I miss you, Ron.
You miss. You just saw the look on his face. So what shows are you guys coming up on next? If somebody has other questions for you, want to hear you guys get interviewed again?
Let me get into my phone here and look.
Yeah, because I don't have any idea. I just show up when he tells me I need to be somewhere.
Like, hey, Dan, by the way, let's see. Cancel. On the 17th, we'll be on Sheila Gay's podcast.
Oh, good. She called you.
And then the 19th, we'll be on Maggie Renee's podcast.
Oh, good. That's another one.
Let's see. I don't think I've got really... Oh, yeah. March 6th, we'll be on Paranormal Buzz Radio.
Okay. I'm on Paranormal Buzz Radio on Friday the 13th.
Ooh, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. I had to do that. But other than that, we haven't really booked a whole lot. We just did Dan did Ted Van Sun's podcast. But that's
because he's on Monday nights the same time as me.
Yep.
So, I know the weekends are usually busy for Dan and myself, so it's hard to do the podcast on those days. During the week, it's a little difficult for me, but when I can't make, Dan will be there.
And kind of vice versa, yeah, because the Monday night shows are the nights that I have to take off work. So
that means you get to go home and tonight and put your feet up and rest a little bit.
Yeah, it was good because, like I told you earlier, I was sick today, so I was just as happy to not be working.
Right, that makes a lot more sense. We've had some sickness here too. This time, not me, thank goodness.
Well, I can highly suggest the Dayquil and whiskey as a mixed drink. It works really well.
We went to Applebee's on Saturday night. Ron's cousin came into town, and it was kind of a fun night over in Ottawa. So we went to Ottawa and went to Applebee's. And I did not know that Applebee's had dollar margaritas.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know that a margarita has 310 calories? And if you drink 3 of them, that's almost 1,000 calories there.
Well, that's why you just don't eat, Denise.
Oh, I ate. And we walked to the hotel.
Or stumbled.
And it's funny though.
Staggered?
No, not really. There wasn't that much whiskey in them. But think about this. We live 30 minutes from Ottawa, and we got a hotel just so we could hang out with Ron's cousin.
That's smart.
Every time you say Ottawa, it has a whole different connotation for me.
I know.
I have to stop and think.
Well, when we think of Ottawa with you and David, it just reminds me of that we can't take David anywhere without a trash bag.
A
flying egg.
Yes.
It's like a Gallagher show.
So I know where not to sit. I know not to sit on his, let's see, what side is it?
On my left.
Yeah.
Actually, just stay away from Dave's blast radius and you're good to go.
Yeah. I'm not even going to go there. Never mind.
Well, you know what? We are at the end of the show. And one of the things that Tom McNicholas says is, Dan and Dave, let's do something soon. He's really, he's up there by Chicago.
Absolutely.
And, he's really excited about that. And they are part of the Northern Illinois Paranormal Association. So there you go. Not too far from you, Dan.
Yeah, 45 minutes or so.
I think I introduced you to Tom when we were at DeKalb.
Yes,
and,
I finally had a chance to meet him. We've been Facebook friends for a while, and I finally had a chance to meet him in person. So that was very cool.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. That was the very first paranormal conference that I helped with, and we had 100% vendors show up, and 100% of the speakers showed up.
Yeah, that was actually a fun conference. If you guys do it again, I wouldn't mind being included in that one.
If it's not going to happen this year because Tom couldn't find the sponsors this year, and I'm thinking, and we're trying to go out to Gettysburg this year for the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash. That's if I can use my wiles to get my way. And but we are going down to Eureka Springs the weekend of the 10th when they have the UFO conference. We're not going to the UFO conference. We're just going down to hobnob with Kat.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I want to get down to Eureka Springs one of these days, too. We actually kind of had a plan for that, but it didn't work out this year. So
there you go, Dave. You know, in April, we're going to be down in Eureka Springs. But everybody, thank you so much for being on. I appreciate you guys coming on and telling us about all the things that are going on with paranormal studies. And everybody, go out there and find the Paranormal Studies Facebook page, and please like it and help Dave and Dan get their show on the air, because I think that if it gets on the air, we are all going to be much better for it.
Yeah, just show some support, like and follow the page, and
and share.
Yeah, share and leave some good comments and everything like that for us.
Yep, share. And join me next week when my guest is Madison Smith from Madison Paranormal and Rex Nielsen, her mentor. And any of you who know, Madison is the preteen paranormal investigator. So I'm really excited to talk with her and get her perspective on the paranormal. So I hope you guys will all be excited to hear Madison Smith. So join me next week on WBHM-DB.com, and I'll be waiting to hear what you guys have to say. So thank you guys so much, and you're listening to WBHM-DB out of Birmingham, Alabama, and we'll see you next Monday.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.